Good evening, everybody, and I'm really sorry that I can't be with you this evening at the Neighbourhood Watch meeting. Unfortunately, I had some tickets booked for an event already that I really can't miss. But very kindly, some questions have been sent through to me that you were looking to ask. And also, I'd like to give you a bit of an update on the current crime statistics in the area, some of the things that we're doing at the moment in the borough, and also to say a massive thank you to everyone for all your support of me and the team in my time here in Surrey Heath, because this will be my last meeting as the Surrey Heath Borough Commander before I move over to Guildford to look after them as their Borough Commander. So what do the crime statistics look like at the moment in Surrey Heath? Well, total notifiable offences are down still 4.1%, and that's 203 fewer offences. That's if we look at the last 12 months compared to the 12 months before that. Residential burglary is down 41%. That is 124 fewer burglaries. And if we look at this month compared to the same month last year, we are still about 50% fewer offences. And that's in this winter burglary peak period as well, where we would ordinarily expect those burglaries to go up. So whatever you are doing, keep doing it. Robbery is down 51%, but we have relatively few robberies in Surrey Heath, so that only equates to 19 fewer. But that's still a serious violent crime, and it's good to still see those figures reducing. And another one that I'm really pleased to see is antisocial behaviour. That's down 26% compared to the previous year. That's 323 fewer incidents of antisocial behaviour which have been reported to us, which I think is fantastic. Unfortunately, some offences are going up. So domestic abuse is gone up by 2.5%. That equates to an extra 18 offences, and is still one of our priorities, not only in the borough but as a force. And hate crime as well, that's gone up pardon me, that's gone up 33%. And again, that remains one of our priorities in the borough, taking a really strong stance on those hate crimes reported to us. And we're seeing an increase in our arrest rate and an increase in our solved outcome rates for those. So whilst we are getting more offences, we are detecting more and holding more people to account for their behaviour. Very kindly, I've been sent through some questions that you wanted to pose me. And let's have a look at this first one here. So the first one, I don't know who these are from, but thank you for sending them through. In the last 2 years, there have been 3 incidents of car-related crimes and break-ins in our road, Perry Way, Lightwater. The recent car theft of a BMW in our neighbourhood of Perry Way, Lightwater, which occurred on the 9th of November 2021. I would like to ask Borough Commander Alick James, why is this crime on the increase, and what draws the criminals to our area, and what measures can we take to prevent this? Well, burglaries, as we know, and actually all car crime is reducing, which is fantastic news. But there is an element of crime which is on the increase, and that is the theft of motor vehicles within that bracket. So overall, it's going down, but if we look at the whole bracket within that, a larger percentage is now theft of the motor vehicle. And cars have been stolen since they were since they were invented. So Henry Ford, I believe, had to chain his Model T to a lamppost to prevent people stealing it. And I'm sure you'll remember there was a time when you could insert a piece of metal between the window in order to unlock it, and then rip the cowling off, hotwire the vehicle, or use half a tennis ball to pop the locks in order to get in and hotwire the vehicle. When I started with Surrey Police, I started in the chemical treatment unit. finding fingerprints on things. That was in 2001. And we used to get a lot of car cowlings. We don't see that anymore. And that's because of the advent of the radio transmission device in the key, which contacts the engine management system. So you can't hotwire modern vehicles because if you haven't got the key, the engine won't start because the signal isn't there. The key is not talking to the engine so it can start. So we have this evolution. So we had quite a large amount of joyriding in the sort of the 80s, 90s. The advent of the radio signal key then tipped that balance. We started to see a reduction then in theft in motor vehicles. But then thieves, as they do, they will try and find workarounds. So we then started to see interference with the onboard car management systems. And the latest trend that we're seeing to get around the systems is the keyless entry attack, the relay attack, which is where offenders are attacking those cars with the keyless entry system. I've done a video of this on our Surrey Heath Facebook page. But what they're doing is they're going with two devices, two offenders. One will stand by the house, one will stand by the vehicle. And when they try and open the car tries to talk to the keys. And their devices extend that signal to the house, where the offender with the device by the house, captures the keys signal and sends it back to the car so they can talk to each other, and then the vehicle can be opened and driven away. And why are we being targeted here? Well, Surrey Heath is quite an affluent area, and what we're seeing really is generally offenders coming from outside of the county to target Surrey Heath. We are talking with our regional colleagues about this. We have an operation within our criminal investigation department to pull all these offences together and using our ANPR data to try and identify the offenders and hold them to account. Because these offences, if you think about the relay attack method, very little in the way of forensic evidence being left at the scene there, and the attacks are happening in a matter of minutes that they can be completed. What can you do about it? Well, if you've got a keyless entry vehicle, put those keys in a Faraday bag or a signal blocking bag to prevent the signal being emitted. And don't forget your spare keys as well. You could also consider a steering wheel lock, some of those more old school crime prevention techniques, because what that is going to do is going to delay an offender. It's going to put them off because it's a little bit more hard work for them. They might end up leaving more forensic evidence at the scene if they've got to try and rip off a piece of metal. There's a risk they could injure themselves. There's something else that they might, leave in the car, or debris they might leave, or they're at the scene for a little bit longer, which exposes them. So it just makes it a little bit more difficult for them and puts them off committing that crime. There are also third-party tracking devices that you can use, third-party alarms, which you could put into your vehicles as well. So there are some things that you can do around those. But I do note from this question that some vehicles are being stolen by actually attacking the house, and they are stealing the keys from within. So that comes very much into the burglary prevention advice, which I would provide, which is making your property look occupied, making a difficult target, and making it a risky prospect. Making it look occupied, think about having lights on timers, think about having a television mimicking device, a radio mimicking device, making sure you have your bins taken in, because that's something that can indicate to offenders that you're not in if you've left your bin out. Parcels as well, getting those parcels off of doorsteps, because again that's another indicator that you're not in. Making sure your curtains are being open and closed as they normally would throughout a day. Having a car parked on the drive, things like that. Anything you can do to make your property look occupied. Making it risky. You could have an alarm, you can have lights on sensors, you could have a Ring doorbell, or other CCTV manufacturers are available, I'm sure, and making it difficult as well. That's making sure you've got all your windows and doors locked, and there's a secured by design standard, which are recommended by police standard. There's a secure by design website. If you go to Google and search secure by design, that'll take you there. Some really, really great advice on that website about making sure you've got the best doors and windows, and some other crime prevention techniques there. When we did our research on burglaries, what we saw actually was a lot of them were being committed by people going through round the back of the address and going in through patio doors or windows. And we saw that people who had side gates hadn't been locking side gates. So if you've got a side gate, make sure it's being locked, because that's one of the predominant attack methods that offenders are using. So hopefully I've addressed that question there.